What's going on, guys? Today I am back with some more H.A.T format live duel commentary. We have me on the right playing Hand Artifact Trap Tricks, or H.A.T, and my friend on the left playing Lightsworn Ruler. So I win the die roll and I get to start, and I start out by normal summoning a copy of Mermail, just the classic H.A.T play, and searching a copy of Bottomless. From here, I just look at my hand for a second and set 3. And then it's his turn. He summons a copy of Lila, and I think about it and I bottomless it, just trying to get it out of the way. Lightsworn Ruler is a very explosive deck, so I didn't want to be too lenient with them popping back row and then potentially comboing off a bit if they have the right spell cards, like for example Charge or Solar Recharge. After that, though, I had normal summoned a copy of Mermail on my turn and search a copy of Traptrix Traphole Nightmare. I think for a second and go for a copy of Giant Hand and set one more, and it's back to him. There is the Charge of the Light Brigade. I forget what he milled there. I think it wasn't anything too crazy, and he searches a copy of Aaron, and he normal summons it and attacks into Giant Hand, which I believe Aaron says during the damage calculation or something, or before damage calc, you shuffle a defense position monster back into the deck, or something like that, and he shuffles the Giant Hand. I have just missed using the effect. Damage step rulings are always weird, and I was kind of too tired to look it up, and also with what I had, I was in a good position to just let it fly. He milled 3 in his end phase, and kind of moving forward, I had summoned Dionea, and then summoned Mermail, went for Black Ship, and then got rid of the Aaron with Black Ship. The way he was playing made me think he might have had an Honest in hand, so I did that to avoid battling with the Aaron, and then I had Call the Haunted back the Dionea to reset the Bottomless. On his turn, he normal summons a copy of Lumina, discards Eclipse Wyvern, summons Lumina, and then goes for a copy of Leviair. And here I choose to use the Traptrix Traphole Nightmare, and I forget exactly why I did that instead of using the Bottomless. It might have had to do something with the fact that Lightsworn Ruler sometimes plays copies of Lances, and I'd rather not wait for the potential JD effect. But anyways, he had Foolish the copy of Necrogardna. Back to my turn. I just switched the Black Ship to attack and attack with both. He Necrogardnas the Black Ship, and I set 1, and then the Bottomless gets banished because it was set off of the Dionea effect. And then here he summons another copy of Lila, and I use Ignition, pop a Madolche, and I believe I set another Madolche here, and he just scoops it up because I was in such a demanding position. And again, that wasn't even with all the back row and things I had, I believe, in hand too. So I felt really good about that game, and that's also why I let the Giant Hand play slide. Anyways, he gets to start, and post side he sets 4, and he hits a Necrogardna during the end phase from the Lila mills. And setting 4 in Lightsworn Ruler is kind of weird, but at the same time, after siding, I had actually kept in some of the hands, because I know that a lot of times Lightsworn Ruler does put in cards like MST and Royal Decree and cards like that, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I think H.A.T is at a disadvantage game 1 against Lightsworn Rulers, because usually Ice Hand is dead because they don't set back row. So anyways, moving forward a little bit more, he had, I believe he had Breakthrough skilled the Mermail, and I used Duality, and then in the end phase, after doing a few more things, he had Needlebug Nest hit a Wolf and a Eclipse Wyvern, and then he MST'd the copy of Ignition, which is good because it'll buy me a turn. He activates Lila, and I choose to just chain the Compulse on his Wolf so that he can't make an Xyz without using his normal summon. And then here, what happens? In the end phase, I activate DD Crow to banish the Necrogardna because I had duality'd into Firehand the turn previous. And here I am just gonna do the whole hand loop thing where I'm basically just crashing it, popping a card, crashing, popping, and doing that whole thing just to clear up his board. Again, usually I would side out hands against Lightsworn Ruler just because they aren't great, but I had kind of an idea that he might be siding a lot of back row removal and cards like how I mentioned Decree that would really hurt me. And anyways, pretty simplified game state here. He has, I think, 2 cards in hand, and I also have 2 cards in hand, and here I decide to go for Rhapsody and Berserk because his Lightsworn name count in Grave is kind of low, and so I wanted to keep him off of Lightsworn names, and also I think I banish a Tempest to keep him off of the Eclipse Wyvern. And so the reason I do that over going for Dweller is because if he does have JD in a way to get to all the names he needs in Graveyard, which, you know, on his turn he summons the Lumina, he does, a JD just kind of attacks over Dweller and then blows out any back row I had. And so he goes for the Lumina, but I end up breakthrough skilling it, and then goes to me, I draw a dead card back to him, he finally gets the Lumina off, and then normal summons, and I have the Torrential. Now here he's in top deck mode, and I have 1 card, and I top deck into Duality, and here I find a copy of Artifact Sanctum, which is really good in this position, though, you know, he still has enough life, and he still, 1 JD kind of puts this game back in his court for the most part, and here he does summon the Redox, and he chooses not to summon the JD, which makes sense here, and push for some damage. I draw for turn, I set 1 back row, back to him, and here we correct it and bounces the Redox in my end phase. He summons JD here, and this was an awkward situation because I allow the summon to go through, and then he activates the effect, and that's where I chain the copy of Sanctum. I forget why. I think there was if he had any sort of follow-up, I was just kind of messed up there, so I'd rather him blow the board there. And here he goes Card Trooper, bounces the Card Trooper after using the effect to summon Zephyros. Then he uses Redox's secondary Reborn effect, summons Raiden, uses Raiden to mill 2. He hits Eclipse Wyvern, and from here it's looking really bad for me. He banishes Light Ray Diablosis, and then he synchros into, I believe, Stardust. Yeah, Stardust. He attacks over the artifact, and here I top deck, I think it's a DD Crow, and I already know that he has the Eclipse Wyvern, a Dragon Ruler, Engrave, enough dragons to summon it, and I just scoop it up. Now here, moving on to game 3, I get to go first, and my hand was really, really bad. I believe I show it off at the end of this game. Yeah, I had, I think, 2 or 3 artifacts and some just kind of really situational traps. So it wasn't looking good. He goes Rhoda, and I believe he searched Raiden there. Maybe I missed it. He goes Solar Recharge, discard Raiden, and then he mills 2, and of course he hits Breakthrough Skill and Necrogardener. So not looking good. Here he summons Raiden, and I'm trying to keep him off of mills. So I go and pop one of my sets, which is a Meraltac, and I set, I believe, another Meraltac there, just in case he does JD. The Meraltac summons back, pops the Raiden, and after that, just looking at my back row, he's checking his graveyard, and it's back to me. I push for a bit of damage, just trying to do what I can with the hand that isn't good, and he sees another Solar Recharge, and here he sees a copy of the Little Minerva off that, so he gets to mill 1 more. He summons JD because he already has enough names. I Deep Dark Trap Hole, which he didn't really know what it was, but it will banish the JD. And then he summons Lumina because he has a normal summon this turn, discards Eclipse Wyvern. I chain Max C here. He uses the effect, he summons back the Raiden first, and then Eclipse Wyvern activates, and he banishes Light Ray Diablosis. He has, going against 3 back row, that's a smart play there, and he goes for a copy of Black Rose. I can pulse the Madolche just to save a card to have some sort of follow-up, even though he is under max C. And here you'll see, yeah, I did have a Scythe and a Madolche, and I summoned both, which I felt pretty good about, especially with the amount of cards in hand, until he drops a second JD on me. And he uses the effect, and I'm thinking, okay, you know, he's locked out of extra deck, everything should be good here, and he has, you know, the copy of Tempest, banishing 2, the Eclipse Wyvern returns, the Light Ray Diablosis to hand, he summons it, and that's all she wrote. I get OTK'd. Unfortunately, through Max C, he took the challenge and won, but that's how it goes. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, share this video with your friends. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, make sure you're subscribed, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next video.